Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another workshop within Catalyst's Digital Month. This is an ongoing series of workshops who will teach the tools and skills that will help your nonprofit organizations achieve their goals more easily in the digital sphere. We have these events going on all throughout September and the beginning of October. Many of you have already attended some of these workshops, and thank you so much for joining us this weekend. It's a lovely day where I am. I hope it is where you are as well. The topic of today's workshop will be how to organize better online events. Before we move on, you'll notice we've had a little change in the format since we'll be having a lot of interaction. During the workshop, we decided to use the Zoom meeting format so we can have conversations with you more easily and do sort of group tasks together. So regardless of that, I would ask you to please keep your microphones turned on, and there will be a time later when we'll do things together. So regardless of that, we do encourage you to engage. You can write in the chat box down below if you have any questions. We will have polls and so on, so you can join more interactively. Also, if you lose your internet connection at any point, feel free to rejoin using the link that I've sent you in the email. And also, as I've said, I will be sending you a follow-up email on Monday containing the presentation as well as the recording of this workshop and any additional materials we may have. With us today are our trainers, Milos Jankovic, Partnerships and Engagement Director at Catalyst Balkans, somebody who has mentored me significantly in the domain of marketing and event organization. So I hope I'm not doing this too poorly so as to reflect on Milos. Also, Milica Antic, she's our nonprofit digital transparency manager at Catalyst Balkans. Hi, Milica. She's in charge of our CRM software, which we'll see how it integrates later into event management and other things we'll touch upon during this workshop. Also with us is our guest trainer, Irina Damjanovic. Irina has been working on learning experiences for 20 years. She's a pioneer of flipped learning and a training facilitator and training creator, working on a lot of projects with the Ministry of Education of Serbia, British Council, and the WWF. And she's currently working as an instructional designer. And we'll see later what all of that entails. These workshops are organized by Catalyst Balkans. We're a regional foundation from the Western Balkans dedicated to philanthropy, data, and tech. What that means is essentially through research and advocacy, we gather together Western Balkans donors, causes, recipients, and try to find out who gives what to whom in the Western Balkans, and use that data to help nonprofit organizations with their digital transformation, and also through providing education and mentorship, such as through these events. For nonprofit organizations, we have an entire pipeline where we essentially help them achieve their goals through our products and services. We help them learn everything about fundraising through our webinars and other educational events. We help them find their niche in philanthropy and learn to map the philanthropic landscape they're in using the Giving Balkans platform, to build their community using the Civic Catalyst, which we'll hear more about today, and raise funds from their supporters through the Donacije.rs crowdfunding platform, and ultimately to demonstrate their transparency to their donors and constituents through the NetProfit.rs platform. Now, before we move on, I'd just like to ask, you. Oh, I'm sorry. I got some comments that it's too silent. I hope you can hear me a little better now. Is the volume okay for everyone? Okay.
It's okay now, but if Dragana has still some issues, we will try to fix them.
Yes. Oh, of course. Before we move on, I'd just like to please confirm your attendance at the link I sent in chat, so we can deliver you the follow-up email and keep in touch with you, of course. I'd also like to point out that we will be demonstrating various tools throughout this workshop. We're not affiliated with any of the developers of these tools, or we're not sponsored by any of them. These workshops are funded by the Balkan Trust for Democracy, and ultimately all recommendations are just at the discretion of our trainers. So having said that, I'll let Milos have a word now to introduce what we'll be doing in this workshop and what is the whole concept. So Milos, if you wish, I will
Great.
sharing that.
Thank you very much, Luca, and good morning, everybody. I'm actually pretty surprised to see that we have this many participants on Saturday early in the morning. We are still testing some ideas and some concepts with our own webinars and virtual workshops. So it seems that Saturday 10 a.m. is pretty good time to learn. I mean, it's a bit chill morning, at least here in Belgrade, but the day will be beautiful. So this is a good way to spend the first couple of hours of your morning. This is not the usual way we start our virtual workshops. And actually, I asked Luca because Irina, whom we're very happy to have today with us, she will be the first instructor / lecturer / trainer today. But I wanted to share with you how we got to this idea and what actually we want to achieve, because at one moment we started with the idea of having a webinar on better online events, but that's kind of not just the point. I mean, if you perceive it just about events, I mean, we usually, to be honest, in the nonprofit sector, do these things just to check the boxes in our projects and reports and to report back to the donor, but that's not the point. And actually, Catalyst, when Catalyst was founded in 2013, and for the first 5 years, we were all about the research and we did nothing else except for the research. And then we started developing some tools for nonprofits and started helping them implement those tools. And then since we launched Donacija RS in early 2018, in late 2018, other organizations and people started inviting us to have lectures and to deliver lectures and trainings on crowdfunding. So that was our first training experience at Catalyst, basically. And in 2019, we started doing a lot of that, and not just for crowdfunding. We did trainings on community relationship management software. We did trainings on community building and marketing for nonprofits and various other topics from our expertise. And then came 2020 and this pandemics, everything went to hell and everything changed. So we had plans for April and May, and it was supposed to be a very busy spring for us with several trainings. So we had to pivot. And of course, instead of those trainings, we decided to go with webinars. We were a bit too optimistic and we organized 30 webinars in 2 months. Everything was great. That was the period when people were very happy to participate in these things, and we were all organizing similar things. But from organizational perspective, that was hell a lot of a job for us. We basically had 2 or 3 webinars per week, and that was not easy to organize. But then again, we really reached a huge number of organizations. We were never able to reach that many organizations and beneficiaries. And that was the moment when the nonprofit sector from Serbia and partially from the region get to know us, and Catalyst became basically someone that they've heard of somewhere at least. And after that, we decided to continue because all of those organizations were very satisfied. We were satisfied, a bit tired, but satisfied. And we decided to continue with that kind of work. We wanted to do virtual workshops, courses, other forms of e-learning constantly. And we, in the past year and a half, had more than 85 such events, especially virtual workshops. I believe that by the end of this year, we will be at 100. But as I said, those events in the beginning were amazing. People were super satisfied, and usually they were satisfied, but some of those events did not go so well. We tested a lot of different things. We, for example, there was a webinar also on Saturday, but that was in the later afternoon hours, and that wasn't very much popular. People didn't really come to that event, and there were other, to be honest, mistakes. And it was also a learning experience for us, and we are still trying to figure out best practices and to simply from these insights learn something how to improve these things. So I have a background in, I studied law, but I have a background in marketing. That's what I did for a past decade for a living, but I don't have a background in education. I mean, I did deliver a lot of workshops, but I am not officially an educator. I don't know much about it. So I wanted to consult with a friend who's an e-learning consultant. And when he explained his methodology, I started to learn actually how much marketing and education are super similar, and they are really overlapping, and basically same methodologies can be used in both senses if we want to use marketing for good. Although, yes, when you say education, that's a noble thing, and when you hear a word marketing, that's something filthy, and those people with scammy tactics just want to sell you something, but it can actually be used for good. And basically, both of these are done best if your goal is to build a community around your topic and your cause. It's all about community building for marketing for nonprofits. It also is community building if you really want to educate people, if you really want them to learn something, because having just an event, that won't do it. That will do it for donors and our reports, but that will not really do for people that attend our events. And it's just a beginning of their journey. It's not the end of their journey. The whole journey should be done through a community. And if we combine these two things, marketing tactics and educational programs, we really can build amazing communities around our causes and our topics, and we can in that way bring change to our societies. And that friend of mine actually introduced me to Irina, and we're super happy to have you today with us, Irina. So I don't want to bother you anymore. I just wanted to share this couple of thoughts with you. The title of this presentation and this webinar is Better Online Events, but actually our perspective is how we can use online events, especially learning online events such as e-learning courses, virtual workshops, webinars, and what the hell is the difference between these things? How do we transition from offline trainings to these online things, and how do we actually build communities around them in order to really make a significant change? So without any further ado, because I've been speaking for quite some time, I can see now, Irina, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Miloše. And thank you for the nice introduction, because it's not about events, it's about the journey. In the learning world, we like to say learning journey, because you never learn in a single event, whatever you learn. Either you're a kid, you're a school kid, you're a grown up, it never happens in a snap or in 1 hour. So therefore, we do not expect you to actually learn within these 3 hours, but to tackle some topics and get ideas in which directions to put your journeys. So let me share my screen. Should it be first the QR code stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
the plan was for me to invite people to scan the QR code or to go to the URL that's on that side. But if you can please share your screen. And Luca, I will just ask you to share the link in our chat box so people can click the link there as well.
Yes, of course.
I'm being given some menu here. One participant can share at a time, multiple participants can share simultaneously instead of a simple just share.
I might be.
Okay, so you took over.
Can you check now if everything's okay? Irina?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Just let me share it. Sorry for this, and there you go.
As I said, we made some mistakes and these things happen. So we will kindly ask you to either scan this QR code with your phone or to go to URL that's up there, ahaslides.com/BOE21, Better Online Events. So ahaslides.com/BOE21. Luca will also post this link in the chat box. We would like for you to participate in surveys, in some questions that all three of us will ask you. So this is the way we will have an interaction. And of course, there will be moments where when you will be able to turn on your camera and your mic and to share your thoughts. But Irina, please.
Okay, we're getting some likes and hearts. Thank you for that. And yes, these things like, oh, where do I share screen and what happens? These things do happen, and do not push yourself if you're hosting a webinar for everything to be perfectly smooth, because this is live. You know, it's like in the classroom. Where are my papers? Let me grab one. So that's cool. Let's move on. So you've met us. Now we would like to meet you. And that's why you need these QR code and these links that Milos and Luca provided to you. So this is your question. What is your experience in learning? Not online learning, that will be the second question. So just rate how experienced you are as a learner, maybe as a lecturer or a public speaker, as a training facilitator, or maybe training creator. Okay. Okay, so we have a lot of, it's not done yet. This is very cool. I love this live interaction with Slides. So this is at the same time a showcase of how, even though I don't see you, I can get to know you, and you can get to know each other through this very simple thing, that simple interaction that Slides provides. So when do I know everybody's done? Okay, 14. How many participants we have? It was 21 last time I saw.
The 17 are on Slides, so I think
one more.
Yeah, excellent.
We're waiting for one more. If any technical difficulties, please type in a chat. or maybe the 17th one, just to keep silent this time. Okay, this is interesting because yeah, we have different stuff, but we have when it comes to being very experienced, I see that some of you do have experience in this is 4 people and 4 people. I'm looking for actually green and pink. Some of you have experience in training, creation, facilitation. It's like, looks like pretty balanced group. That's about the same number of people has been doing training, creation, facilitation, and public speaking. Okay, let's move on. That's for like normal, the old way, before Corona way. Let's move on to the same question, but in online learning. So in online learning, it's just this, the yellow one we called presenting, not public speaking, but you can call it the same way. It's more or less the same thing, just that you're not standing in front of live people, but in front of camera. So the floor is yours. Okay, I'd say that most of you have experience in online learning as not all of you, but 8 of you. So not even all of you have experience as online learners. That's interesting. And then how about presenting? Some do, some don't. And then we have some people in training creation. And it's like 3 of them and 3 of you. And when it comes to training facilitation, it seems lower here. Most of you don't, but then there's several of you, 1 that has. Okay, that's interesting. So you will have opportunities to ask questions from your perspectives, which we will be very glad to hear. So let's first set expectations. That is something that you should do whatever you're doing, especially learning events and learning journeys. So we would expect you to be able to compare digital and face-to-face learning, because you will actually be doing this. And then to have an idea to distinguish between something that is called synchronous and asynchronous learning format. It's pretty blah, blah, blah to pronounce. And then to understand, but just the level of understanding, not further, what is it that makes learning an effective one? So that's the whole science around it, but we will just scratch the surface of it. And how we're going to do that, we will offer you short presentations, then some interactive activities like the one that you just had, and some examples of good practices. And we are hoping that you will have questions that will inspire us to give you even more. So let's move on. So this is a space where you can ask your question throughout the presentation, and we will come back to them once we are done. Now let's move on to shapes and sizes of learning. So when we talk about learning, learning includes usually many things, but these are 3 things that you usually face. That is information delivery, so something gets into you. Then practice activities where you give something, and all that should happen through some exchange, through interaction. That's why these communities are important, that Milos talks about them. And when it comes to formats, information delivery in the old world was done through lecturing, like in school and university or such, or through presentations like I'm giving right now. Then text in all formats, depending is it paper or screen, videos, images, podcasts. So you listen, read, watch, and information gets inside, gets into you. And then when we say practice activities, usually what we think by practice activity, some sorts of assignments which can be used as assessment. So let me explain this a bit. So assignment is like it could be like a school assignment. You could write a review, you can analyze situation, you could create an action plan, you can record a video and set it somewhere. You can make many different things alone, on your own, with a peer, in small groups, whatever. Assignment could be also to do something what you're actually doing on the job. So you need to practice how to communicate with the client, and your assignment is to have a role play with your colleague. So all these could be assignments. And when it comes to assessment, there are two things in learning that are important, two types of assessment. That means that I'm assessing how you are progressing while you are learning. That is something that we usually call formative, but don't mind these technical terms. So I'm monitoring your learning process. I know the goal, I've set the expectation, and I'm, as a facilitator, I'm watching how you're advancing to get there. And you can also self-assess. So you know the goal, you see, okay, here I am, I should get here. And the other one is the one that we all know, called summative, which is at the end of the process, let's check what's done and maybe get certified. They usually tests are of that kind. And then interactions, it overlaps a bit with assignments and with assessment because it involves interaction. But let's just brainstorm what it is. Brainstorming, discussions, working groups, and interaction could be written, could be oral, could be in a group, could be one-on-one. So all kinds of interaction. So these three segments, getting information to you, then giving something, and interactions are three components of learning that are important for you to consider if you are to create or facilitate a learning journey. And there is one important thing that I separated from everything else, which is feedback. That is usually somehow, people forget about feedback, but feedback is crucial. If there is no feedback, there is no learning, because I do something, I do it well, and nobody's telling me that I'm doing well. So my brain doesn't know if I want my brain to continue doing that like that, or the other way, or the same way if I'm making a mistake. So I'm making a mistake, I might know that I'm wrong, but I don't know why I'm wrong and where exactly am I wrong and how I can do different. So that's why feedback is important, but it gets very complex if you don't have a live facilitator to give a feedback. So there are several levels of providing feedback. First one is, I like or I dislike your hearts or stuff that you gave us. And that just gives us a very shallow information. People like or dislike. We don't know why and how and what could be done better. With these smiley faces or grumpy faces, we have a scale which is a bit better because it provides more information than just like or dislike. And then we have something that in the learning world we call rubric, but it's a set of, it's usually in a table format. It's a set of criteria. So I have criteria 1, 2, 3, and then I have criteria 1 on level 1, and then on level, on a higher level, and then on the highest level. And then I'm comparing whatever I have as an assignment. I have, for example, I need to write something to attract my clients, and there should be something, an ad. And then this ad should consist of A, B, and C, but then I can put this first paragraph, but it could be done poorly, okay, and excellent. So that's why we are using rubrics very often, especially in online learning, because you don't have a live person to provide you this feedback, but then we provide you the criteria which are leveled, and then you can self-assess yourself and help yourself see where you are in the process of learning. So that's why that is important. And of course, the best, but most often it's the most expensive way, is a live facilitator, a person, not a robot, who will tell you, look, man, this is good. You can improve it if you do like that. Oh, this is not good because you did that instead of this. So that's it. So these are also spaces for you to see what is it that you have as a resource. If you have a person, great. But if you don't, think of rubrics. If you cannot even provide rubrics, think of something like this. If this is all you can do, it's better than nothing. So this is the whole spectrum of feedbacks. And now the floor will again be yours. We will discuss a bit of about the transition from face-to-face trainings, as we've seen in these charts at the beginning. Some of you had experience as facilitators or creators of training in face-to-face world, but now there's this transition to online. Whether we like it or not, it's there. So let's see what is it that worries you in this transition. Maybe you already see some opportunities. Maybe you have some concerns. Maybe you're confused about some things. So we will divide you in several groups. I think that we can split in 4 groups. So we will have groups of 3 and 4s, if that's okay, Miloše and Luka.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
That should be okay.
When we give a sign to Luka, he will just click a button, and you will have the feeling that you are in separate calls with other 2, 3, or 4 people. You will no longer see me, but I will be able to send you a note. You will have 10 minutes to discuss. Let me just show you what. So how do you see transition from face-to-face to online learning? So you'll have 10 minutes just to discuss and to provide us what do you see as main opportunity and what do you see as main concern. So once you've discussed, agree on what's one opportunity, one concern, and share it in the chat. So we are using this also for you to see how even this event, when we are all sitting in our bedrooms or living rooms, we can still be together, discuss, and interact pretty much. Are there any technical questions because maybe not all of you had experience in breakout rooms? Any concerns, questions regarding the technical side of being split, and then we will summon you up again to be everybody together like this?
Maybe we should just clarify if people are going to present their main findings later. Should they decide which person from the team will present on behalf of the team what they were discussing, or maybe should they just type those answers in the chat box when they get back into the main room?
Maybe we can give this as a choice. So if you have a presenter, a willing person to actually turn on the camera and at least the microphone and share with us your main opportunities and concerns, that's fine. But if you don't, you can just share it in a chat. I guess that should be okay with everyone. So you can choose.
Yes, if that's okay, I will now split people into groups.
Okay, I guess there are no questions regarding what's going to happen. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Luka.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So yeah, we're sort of experimentally doing this, but yes, like we saw in the poll in the beginning, so a lot of people have some experience, at least attending some form of online learning webinars or whatever it was, but I'd like to know if any of you want to share your experiences, how it's been for you so far. if you have any.
I can start if it's okay.
Yes, of course.
So I had an experience of organizing an online education program that lasted 7 days. It's called Kosovo School. And within it, we had basically lectures that lasted each day for no longer than 2 hours. A lecturer and around 10 participants. It was all going well, but what lacked was the interaction. So it was a little bit like ex cathedra form, which is, I think, not a good form in online environment. And I felt like there is a need for me as a program manager to do some sort of preparation for the lecturers, how they should engage in this program, what do we expect from them. There should be a presentation, because I also saw when they're just when there is no presentation, it's much difficult to follow. So when you have something visual in front of you, you know, you can, it's maybe easier also to interact, to ask questions and things like that. Yeah.
We had similar experiences in Catalyst. It's quite difficult to find ways to bring interaction into like online learning experiences, because offline, when we held workshops, they were very interactive. A lot of it consisted of basically attendees doing different tasks and activities and learning through those. But as we switched to online, it became quite difficult. So we're like trying to use these like interactive tools, but it's kind of a process of learning and like trying to adapt as we go. So yeah, I actually hope like this is going to be quite useful to me, as I'll be holding. Hi, Irina. Hello.
Hi, I just dropped by to see if everything's okay here. If
Oh yeah,
everything's
sure, no
clear.
problem.
Okay, but I have you, Luca, so I guess then.
Yeah, I think we split up like throughout several groups, so it's.
That's okay. I'm
bad.
having a turnaround rooms.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Okay, thank you, Luca. I don't worry, you have Luca here.
Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, like, for example, also not just that, it's kind of strange for a lecturer, especially if it's a webinar. It was a little strange for me when I was doing a training on design for nonprofits, and it's weird because when you're in a room with the people you're giving the training to, you can, even if there's no interaction, you can track their reactions, like if they're listening or not. And this way, it's just, you're not sure if anybody's even listening, or you're just talking to yourself.
There,
so terrifying. Yes. So yeah, we have been like experimenting quite a bit with different, even with different time slots. Like we've tried, for example, this is on Saturday morning, but last week we had. That was 2 weeks ago. We had a workshop that was set, like Miller said, Saturday afternoon, and that was very poorly attended, even though quite a few people registered for it and like expressed interest. But when it came to it, actually, that they should spend their Saturday on a like educational workshop, they were like, no, I can't, man. After the whole work week. So like even today we're.
I think the problem is like Zoom and the being constantly on the laptop. You know, everyone needs a break from that.
Yes, exactly. Although we have lots of people joining, just listening, like from their mobile phones, like laying in their bed probably, or maybe somewhere outside. But yeah, it's quite challenging. Like we ourselves are also using this like as a learning opportunity, as we've sort of discovered what sort of benefit this sort of brings us, and like the organization is becoming really like recognizable for this sort of stuff, which we haven't originally anticipated. So it's quite, I think, interesting to see how and it's interesting to see how it will develop, not just like I think with us, but just globally, like the trends of how events are done, especially like educational events. We'll see, like even after the coronavirus hopefully ends at some point, how much will change generally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the main opportunity of this online change is that you can actually invite more people to be included in your programs. So I can invite somebody from Latin America who I cannot pay to say something in our school, you know. So I think this is the greatest opportunity of involving more people and people from all around. While the main concern is this interactivity and how to actually how do you know that you reached out to these people after one online session if all the cameras are closed as it is now?
Yes. That is true. And yeah, we also had a similar sort of experience, because like previously, if we wanted to make a regional event, that would be ridiculously expensive. We would have to pay for trips for people from different countries, accommodations, food, and translators, and everything, and that would be like really difficult to organize and set up. Sorry, but like this, I mean, it's still a bit of an effort, but I think it's much less of an effort than doing it the old-fashioned way. I don't know if Aneta and the people from, oh, that's just Dan from Justice Defenders. Okay.
Okay, hello.
Hi, Aneta.
My name is Aneta. I come from Macedonia. I work for the local Red Cross branch in Kočani. Well, my experience with online trainings, well, there has been so many. Like, I think the positive things of online trainings, it's they're very easy. You can invite so many people to participate, even from other countries, as Vana said. And it's more, and also it costs less, because usually when you have to attend another training, like face-to-face training, there are some other costs involved here, like transportation and more time to get to that place and all that. But here, like with all the online trainings, you can just do it conveniently at your home, like we're just doing at the moment. And I think that's great, because that's kind of like a very good opportunity. But on the other side, I think the bad side is actually people. I think they think that like when it's online training, then they don't take it so seriously sometimes. Like especially when you're working with younger students. It's just like I don't think that online training can replace the face-to-face training, because when there is a face-to-face training and learning, I think that there is a lot more to see and to talk, and you have the contact, the physical contact with the participants. And because you're lacking that physical contact here in this context, I believe that some people might take it, consider it less serious, and also because you have your camera off and your microphone off, and you don't feel so much pressure to be involved. I think maybe that's the reason why interaction is harder with online trainings instead of like physical trainings, face-to-face trainings.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, sorry if I'm, please post your conclusions. Oh, okay. Sorry if I'm usurping too much time here now, but I just wanted to say that I haven't really thought about it, but it might be a generational thing. I know a lot of younger people, sort of my generation and younger, are essentially a little bit anxious to have contact in person when they have to do the communication. So it might be easier for them, like you said, to just keep the camera off. And if you're shy, you can just have the interaction, you know, in a more linear fashion through like online trainings. So it might work more for some people. I don't know. Yeah, I think we should be closing soon. So yes, I will actually leave now. If yeah, we also had a comment from Dan. If you saw it, his mic was off, but he typed it out in chat, as you can see. So main opportunities: it's easier to connect more people, to involve the shy people with
What
polls.
we talked about.
Yeah. So
Okay, we have a recording back. Just waiting to see if everybody's back.
Milos, you're muted.
Yeah, thank you. No, I was just saying that we had an amazing chat, and we should do these breakout sessions more in the future, definitely.
Was 10 minutes enough?
I don't think so. I would really.
I mean, for you, maybe not, but.
But also, I'm very happy that we had participants from different countries in our room, and that was really nice thing.
Okay, that's great. I guess that everybody's back so far. Are you still seeing my screen or not?
No,
okay,
no.
okay. So I don't see anything in the chat, so that would make me guess that every group has a presenter. Is that true? If I'm wrong, please paste in the chat now, I mean, your conclusions, so that we can share it with each other, at least like that.
Maybe we should also mention that people who are instructors, meaning Irina, Luca, Milica, and I won't be the presenters, just to make that clear.
Don't hide behind them. Okay.
I will feel free to invite Olivera or Dragana or Iskra, because I know they were really active in the group. So, I mean, I know you can do it. So please just share your thoughts. You were really productive in the group.
And
if you don't feel like turning on the camera, that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. You don't have to do it.
And I have to say that all people from my group, Anna, from Bitola, Violetta, Diana, and Katarina, they all had very different and very important insights on the positive sides. So I would really invite all four of you to share your ideas, although everyone agreed on the negative side. But again, I would invite you guys to share those ideas with the rest of us in the chat box, or you can turn on your camera and your mic and join us here.
Or just your mic.
Or just your mic, exactly.
We have one in a chat, which is okay. I thought somebody else was. So I'll start with sharing what's in the chat. So, and I'm not sure if which room this is. So
Anna was in the room with me and the rest of the team, room 2.
Okay, yeah. Room 2, I got a reply. Thank you, Anna. So room 2 says that good is that the access is easier, have cheaper events, more available for everyone from home, which saves times. That's true. And for the negative sides, bad communication, low inclusion of young people, and complicated to implement. It would be really great if somebody from room 2 could clarify what do you mean by bad communication? Is it technical, like internet connection, or something else? Thank you, Anna. Yeah, please share.
That was mine, but it's like the interaction is really bad. So, for example, you don't see the people. Most of the people, like me, don't have a video. So the presenter has really, like, I've been presenting an online event, so it's really hard because you basically speak with yourself in most of the time. And also the participants, you're never sure if they're there or they're doing video game. So like, again, the presence is different, and the in-person communication brings much more from the character of the participants, from their contribution, from everything that we've been used to in the past years, not including these 2 years of gap that we have.
Okay, thank you for clarification. And can you just say a bit longer to clarify, what do you mean with low inclusion of young people? You think that young people are less covered by online events and online learnings than older people?
This was a comment from one of the ladies in the group. So she pointed out that young people are less active in the online discussions and online events than older people, which I work with young people and I can agree with her, because the interest of the, like, not the young people age, I don't know, 15 to 20 is really lower than the ones that are above 20. So,
we are talking about children and young adults.
Young adults,
because I'm 45,
adults.
I'm not really young people.
We are speaking by 25. Basically.
Okay. Yeah, those very young people.
I would like to add, sorry, Irina, because it was from this group, it's Violetta here. So I just thought, and I said that even though I thought that young people are more familiar with new technologies and new equipment, they will be more responsive to interaction, but that didn't happen, you know, like they are very inactive in all the workshops we are trying to do and make them interactive.
Yeah, that's true, because it's about the maturity to actually share your ideas. It's not only about knowing the technology. So that's, from one side, doesn't surprise me, but that does happen very often. Thank you, room 2. Now let's see, we have opportunities from room number 4 to meet people all over the world. It's time saving, and you can participate in many trainings and webinars. And concerns, as we have accessible, I guess, tools for people with disabilities, then security, okay, and privacy. Lack of participation, I guess that's what we just mentioned. People sometimes only log in. Impossible to interact. I think that we just broke this myth that it's impossible to interact. It's different. It's drastically different, but it's definitely not impossible. And we will have open questions for later on. I will try to show you other ways how it is possible, but yeah, it's new anyway. Anybody from room number 4 that wants to clarify or tell me, Irina, you misunderstood something? Okay, guess not. And then I have something that's on fire. Aneta, is it same group from Milos?
No, Aneta was in room 3 with me.
Okay. Okay, so we are waiting just for room number 1 to send us something. While they're doing that, I'll read this. So young people tend to consider online training as less serious because physical contact is lacking, and usually microphones and cameras are off. That means that they don't feel pressured to interact. Yeah, so it seems that everybody feels that there is something important about interaction. It's just that somebody sees it as impossible or very difficult, or maybe have no idea how to do it, or is it pressure too much, no pressure enough? Yeah, how we deal with interaction. So definitely in Q&A session, there should be a time dedicated to interactions. Okay, please.
I just want to, while we're waiting for the group 1, and please group 1, share your insights with us. I would only like to thank Olivera for mentioning 2 very important concerns. Tools for people with disabilities, and if our websites and webinars and everything is accessible to people with disabilities. That is a huge topic, still with no final solution. meaning something that is easy to implement for a nonprofit organization, but something that all of us should really think about, finding ways to really make all of our content accessible to all people. That's our mission, basically. And the second point on security is also super important, although most of us from the sector tend to completely disregard this thing. It won't happen to us, whatever. But then again, we become victims of phishing or other scams, and most importantly, actually, human rights activists, organizations that criticize governments and similar with similar projects, they really are under pressure, and cybersecurity is super important topic. So we even organized a couple of trainings, and maybe there will be another one. Oh no, the last one was last week, actually. I confused the dates.
There will be one on September 28th. It's about digital protection solutions, but we will touch on many of those subjects as well, especially what Milos talked about. There will be a guest trainer who is actually from a nonprofit organization from Serbia that deals in investigative journalism. So you can imagine they're very much targeted by various actors. So yeah, if security is of interest to you, I would definitely recommend it. It's September 28th, so that's Tuesday.
Okay, thank you, Luca. I think we got another one. Lena, she switched from between rooms, and yeah, just to explain what happened. I was out of all the rooms, and I've seen several people not being anywhere. So they were called in the rooms, but for some reason they probably didn't see the notification to click join the room. So they were in the main event. So, and what I tried to add them back, but then it didn't allow me to add them back to the same room. So I added them anywhere. So that's why people dropped from all over the place into your room. So, and I apologize for not saying that earlier. And maybe my mistake, I switched somebody that wasn't in this case of being in the main room. Anyway, Lena, apart from switching into the rooms, there is a low cost, no need to pay rent for space, more time to schedule more events. Even as our user, I see a lot of opportunities because kids from other parts of Croatia are using your online therapies. So even in this Corona time, I guess I don't know what exactly your organization is doing, but I can assume for this that you're providing online therapies for children, which is great if it works, and it obviously does. So thank you for sharing this. Is this like official from room number 1, or we can still have something from room number 1? If not, we can actually move on.
If I may add, do you hear me?
Welcome, Nadir.
Yeah, I mean, we had this issue about the poor connection, and people were listening me in pieces, you know. So we couldn't communicate, so I tried to write, and then typing takes time. And there were no other input from the people because they were expecting my input. So basically what I wanted to add is that about the cones. Do you listen to me? About the cones is that we are getting a lot of offers for online events. It's hard to check the quality of offers of companies or verify their references, whether they are reliable or not. And then it's still not culture of online communication. Like maybe I joined later and didn't listen to the rules. How we are going to ask for a floor? Who is giving the floor? Whether we have to raise a hand? Is there and these online tools for video and communication have different, there are many.
Just a second, you're cutting a lot. I'm really having a hard time to follow you. You mentioned something about the tools. So you're having a trouble with tools for what or with who?
No, there are many tools for online events.
Okay,
Different programs.
that's true.
And each of them have their own options, functions, and then you have to be familiar with all of them. So there is
Oh,
no
how to be
single.
familiar with all the tools and pick the right one for you. Was that a question?
Yeah, because now I don't know what we are using. Now we are using Zoom, for example. And there are other, platforms for online events.
Okay, I think that if you have other questions of this kind, please type them in either in the chat or in this dedicated space that you have that we shared at the beginning. So we can come back to it later when we are done. And thank you for taking the mic. Thank you, Nadir. I hope you can hear us well. Okay, I'll continue sharing my screen. And now that you had discussed some things among yourselves, this transition from face-to-face to online, there are these two aspects, synchronous and asynchronous, when it comes to learning and generally communication, which if you look it through those filters of these two things, it can maybe be clear for you how to tackle some problems that you already listed in these discussions. So let's see first. I mean, the word speaks for itself. So synchronous communication and synchronous learning, it's specific time, specific place, and it's real time. So this is synchronous, even though that we are online. And at the same time, classroom event would be also synchronous. So everybody's together. Chat, if we are chatting instantly, if it's not, I send you a message in the evening and then you reply in the morning and then afternoon and then, that's spaced. But if it's, like live at the same time, it's also synchronous. Then all those webinars, workshops, video conferences or live conferences, everything is synchronous. Or if we have a whiteboard canvas, we communicate through whichever channel and we brainstorm some things together. Either it's a Miro or mural or some whiteboards or whatever stuff. So these are the formats, either they're online or face-to-face, that are under this umbrella term of synchronous learning. What are the limitations? You already listed some. So limitation is scheduling in space. Then it has its pace. So that pace has to fit all, even though it never fits everybody. It's too fast for some, it's too slow for others. Somebody, if it's online, might have problem with connection. So you see, then there might be a peer pressure there, or a camera pressure or a mic pressure. So if we are all together in a room, some people simply don't like to stand up or sit down and talk in front of great number of people, or you might not feel comfortable turning on the camera. What's happening? Wait. Or somebody don't dislike to be in front of camera or to turn on the mic. And the limitation, if it's online synchronous learning, are technical issues, starting from internet connection to I don't have a good microphone, I have a terrible traffic going in my background, or I don't have a camera or whatever. But there are opportunities. So when it's synchronous, you always have access to facilitator. Right now, Milos, and Melissa, we are your facilitators. You can access it. You can ask us as if we were together in the classroom. And you can ask other people, we are all together, either in a room or online. And we can give you then, because we are together, we can give you immediate feedback, immediate instruction. I saw people being out of the room, so I could react. So everything is there, it's live. Whereas when we talk about asynchronous learning, so it's at any time, at any place, and it's self-paced. So every individual decides on the pace that suits that individual. Sometimes I want to do it faster, I want to do it slower, I want to dedicate 5 minutes or 5 hours. It all depends on only me. I don't depend on other people. Let's see about the formats of asynchronous learning. All multimedia and e-learning modules and online courses in whichever shapes and sizes you could imagine them are asynchronous learning, as long as they don't include webinars. Actually, webinars are synchronous parts of those. We'll talk about that later. Emails. I send it when I want, you receive it, you look at it when you want. Videos, podcasts, social networks, unless it's, you know, this live quick chatting, everything that it goes into reading documents, blogs, articles, and stuff like that. So this is important to distinguish because it shapes the way we communicate. There was this thing, you know, those channels like Viber channels for parents in school. You know, people think that it's only for synchronous communication. So they tend to, oh my God, somebody sent a message, I have to see it. You know, you don't have to see it. You can see it whenever you want. You can even mute your notifications and see it later. You can turn your synchronous into asynchronous communication when that suits you. It all depends how we agree on. So it's important when you're hosting an event or if you're creating an e-learning or whatever format you want to do, to think if it's asynchronous, to have clear enough instruction and good enough follow-up so people can have all the benefits as if they were live with you. So that asynchronous events require a much bigger amount of preparation from those who are facilitating and who are creating it. More on that we can do later. And so what's limiting? It's the contact, the thing that you all mentioned. You don't have live people around you. And there is one thing that nobody mentioned, and that is very, very important. Self-regulation is required. What do you mean by that? That means that I have to be self-disciplined to sit in front of my screen at a time that I dedicated to learn these things, to watch this video, to read this article, to go through this training, and to focus myself, not to be, you know, reminded from somebody else, not to be called by a facilitator. Hi, come on, Irina, join us, do this learning, do this reading or whatever. So I have to regulate and self-discipline. So I have to do it myself. That's why it's not very best format for smaller kids, even for teenagers, because their attention is all over the place and they are still not mature enough for this self-regulation. I mean, it's not only for kids. I know not a small amount of adults who have very low level of self-discipline and self-regulation when it comes to you're on your own, but you have to do it. And nobody's controlling, but you should do it. So they tend to slack. And then we have opportunities. I do it when I want, I do it where I want. It's cheaper, no traveling. You mentioned it all. So it's nothing new for you. I just wanted to first give you opportunity to discuss among yourself and then to somehow start to see things through these prisms, through these filters of synchronous and asynchronous to help you somehow model your trainings that you're going to either take or provide. And now let's go to see what is it that makes learning effective. So this is a whole science, and I have several slides. So I'm going to just give you the shallowest possible overview of this, because this is an enormous field that keeps being developed more and more. So for effective learning, first thing you need is the target. What's the target? It's the outcome, is what I want to achieve with this. Without that, you will be diving around, swimming, getting lost, delivering something you don't know why, and your audience will have no idea what you want to say or what you want to provide. So target here was for you the things that I listed. So to distinguish asynchronous, synchronous, to see and compare face-to-face and online, and to see some values and understand the basics of how learning works. And then when you have the target, then you can shoot the target. How do you shoot the target in learning? You create activities. Maybe you're noticing that I'm not saying providing information, giving people content. That comes last. So what is activity? If I need to learn something, there are some things that are theoretically need to be learned, but most often, especially in a workplace. So we're not talking academic now. So in academic learning world, there is a bunch of theory that needs to be learned, and it should be excused a bit from this story. But even in academic world, some countries that do care about their education tend to go towards developing skills, not putting knowledge in their students' heads, but developing skills. That's why we have PISA testing, for example. So if it's a skill needs to be practiced. How do you practice? You do something, you're active, you're doing an activity that provides you an opportunity, an experience through which you practice your skill. And that's how you're hitting your target. And only then you add only necessary information. So I don't put, just, these decorations for no reason. This is an information so nice to have. You don't want that. You want just an information that is absolutely necessary for me to hit the target. I need the bow in this case, right? I don't, throw an arrow. I need the bow. So I need additional stuff. And I need to know how to, pull it to hit it right. So that is a big struggle between academic and on-job work, learning, because we tend to transfer from, we have all been through schools, through university, and we have full heads of theoretical knowledge, and then we get to the job and say, okay, I know the theory, but what am I supposed to do? I have no idea. That's why, because nobody gave us opportunity to practice skills. And when you're training people to do things on the job, and hopefully students will do more of that, you have to provide practices, and not more information than just that what is needed. Some information need to be in my head. So if I'm a doctor, I'm not going to go, wait, patient, let me look in my manual to see the diagnose. I have to know those things. I have to have these information in my head. But if I'm making a plan for, if I'm setting a map for a project, and then I have to look, how do I fill this form? Why don't I have a PDF right next to me or on my screen? Look at it. So I still need information, but it doesn't have to be in my head. So you see, learning is not about information. It's about the goal and how you get to the goal, and providing opportunities to practice things to get to the goal. And that's that's like the envelope of it all. And then all these things have so much more to be taught on. So it's a whole seminar. So let's see how this works on some formats. So for an effective webinar, you do set a target, and at least you connect to people. Like Milos was mentioning, create a community, but you start a community by at least providing opportunities and asking people to ask questions and send comments in chat, but not just saying them, okay, do it, but now I want you to do this, and you wait. I waited for you to post those. I could run through and nobody would post anything. So, and also plan for the time for people to speak. It takes time. Every interaction takes time. Maybe if you're a beginner, you can double that time. And then if you're having a workshop, I'm looking more, and this should be more of a workshop than a webinar, because webinar might go into marketing space or don't have maybe that much time for interactions like the ones that we had here. So for an effective workshop, set the target, prepare your activities, which are interactions here. And then what do you do with content, with theoretical stuff? Chunk it, give it in small pieces, and then make sandwich. A bit of presentation, a bit of interaction, bit of presentation, bit of interactions. And when I speak about interaction, so don't forget about the goal. Ask people, like ask you, I gave you in breakout rooms, I ask you, what do you think? We had a small discussion, and listen to what people are saying, what they're writing, and respond to that. Because if you don't, you would be as good as a robot. And now this is a field on its own, but let's just mention it. Blended courses. Blended before pandemic meant face-to-face learning, meaning that we actually meet somewhere in some classroom or some space, and online learning, which is self-paced. So this was more like synchronous and this was more like asynchronous. And then we meet and some of these things overlap. And even scientific research showed that this was the best model for learning. So people learned 20% better if they went through a blended, let's say, course than if they took only online or only face-to-face. So now this face-to-face just moved from the classroom to the formats like this one. And I think that we still call it blended because it's a combination now of synchronous and asynchronous learning. We still have setting outcomes when we are creating courses. We still have to target it with activities. And here is just a small list of tricks. So let's say you created some activities, you have some topics, and you know that you won't have live sessions. So this is this long one here. Before the live session, prepare a pre-work, give something for people to do, to read, to watch a video. Don't overwhelm them, but give them something to start thinking about the topic before they actually meet the facilitator. Then there is this precious time with a person of experience that you can share and exchange with. And don't waste it on simply presenting. Ask questions, give discussions, open the field to actually communicate, because this seemed like to be the only format that's left for us to communicate. And when it's done, we're talking about the course here, not the webinar, give some homework, give them to do something to deal with a topic, to practice their skills until you meet the next time. And the next time, provide feedback. So you're going to provide feedback either if they send you the homework, so you type it down, or the assignment itself may contain the rubric so they can self-assess. And if you're meeting next time, you can come back and say, okay, what have you done with your homework? Do you have problems? Does anybody want to share? So in live sessions, dedicate time to actually communicate with people. That's what they're for. And yeah, Q&A session right now. How do I get to see the questions if we have them so far?
People will ask them in the chat, or they can again turn on their videos and microphones if they prefer. And please really think about your questions and really you can type them in the chat box. I believe that you have a lot of them. This is the opportunity to ask Irina anything from her field, not just things that she mentioned in the presentation, but generally, if you have any question about your online educational programs, all of us will, of course, try to help you and to answer your questions. But while you guys are thinking about your questions, maybe I have a couple of them. I will try to not to go too much with them, but when you mention and when you talk about outcomes, there are basically two types of outcomes, completely different but interconnected. One thing is a learning outcome, but the second thing is we can call it business outcome, what we want to achieve by learning people to do these things. Can you explain the difference and how these two things are connected a bit? And this even more important question, because in these days with the pandemics and everything, if you write in your project proposal that you will organize online courses with virtual workshops and webinars, and donors gonna love that. I mean, these have become buzzwords now, and unfortunately, none of these people know what the hell actually any of these words mean. Can you maybe explain, depending on the business outcome we want to achieve, what we want to have as impact on our mission, for example?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's a great one.
Okay, so you understand the question.
Absolutely, absolutely. I understand. I understood after fourth word. So
thank you.
That is the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're organizing learning in on-job situation. So academic aside, and any schooling aside. So you're doing that because you want to change something in the ways people work. And you want to see that change in the business. So I want to see increase in profit. I want to see decrease in complaints, less of mistakes here, more productive of that. So these are outcomes on the, maybe not on organizational level, but they're on office level. You see them very soon. So that is the place where you should actually start. Then you also connect it with how does that reflect to organization to be aligned with, for this year, we want to get there. And if you start from those office outcomes, you say, okay, but what people need to do for us to have less mistakes in this process. And then you speak to managers or to speak to experts or to speak to people who are actually doing it and see what is it that they should be doing. So they should be maybe using this form. Maybe they should be, instead of saying this, saying that to the customers and stuff like that. And those are, we call them desired behaviors. So if I want a person to be saying different sentences and approaching a customer differently, so that's the behavior I want him to have, or she, or her to have. And that will have, my outcomes. And then if I know this behavior, I say, okay, if they need to speak better, so we're talking about soft skills here. When customer approaches, they should greet them. Now I'm going very simplified. When they approach, they should say this and that. Let them practice this and that. That's your learning object. That's your learning outcome. So you're breaking your office outcome into what people need to do. And what they need to do, they need to practice. And then you break it into simple things like, okay, they need to practice this, but they have to know this. And these are your learning outcomes. So that's how it works. It's not very simple, but it requires a lot of practice and a lot of consultations among learning practitioners to upskill themselves and with those who actually know the matter. So because if you're creating learning, you probably, I have no idea. I don't know business, but I know learning. And I'm creating, for example, for business or for some other things, courses. So there has to be this communication with experts.
And it's great that actually you used an example of learning processes within an organization as their development. We generally talk here about educational programs for our beneficiaries, not for our staff. And now in these times, actually, onboarding of new staff members was really a help for us at Catalyst. I mean, during the pandemics, we grew 50% in staff, and it was really difficult thing to actually have a decent onboarding process. So we are now shifting to trying to create these educational materials for new people, and that's exactly the approach we're trying to have here. And the second part of my question, or actually the second question I had was about connecting business outcomes with models and types of online learning, because we said that donors love to hear these buzzwords, these new things. Is there anything that you can suggest, if depending on what people want to achieve, what outcomes they want to achieve, what type of learning should they use? You were talking about webinars, workshops, courses. So people now understand the difference between these three. Webinars are more a marketing thing where we actually present and promote our work or our products, programs, projects, whatever. Workshops are educational thing, but just the first step, basically, because we just talk with them and have an interaction. They don't have an assignment, while courses are something where they can also do assignments and everything. Can you perhaps give a couple of inputs, your opinion, which type of these possibilities they can use for what purposes, except for what we just said?
I mean, it all depends on the resources on the first place. Unfortunately, we are all limited with the resources. So depending on how much money you can invest and how much time you're allowed to invest, you choose this or that format. And then within a format, you try to get the best possible value. So the online workshops, such as this one, could be exactly the same type of thing within a course, but then you would have a pre-work and after work, I mean homework, and then it gets, and then the workshop itself would provide different and higher value because it's part of the journey. And courses should be journeys, but unfortunately, they're often not. They're often like just longer events. You click them through, get a certification and say, I'm done with this, but you don't actually go into applying stuff. If you really want learning to happen, it should get a strategy. And not everything needs to be online. I mean, you're still on the job. Maybe your job is online, but there are things that when you're online learning and when you're online working. So your task on the, which could be part of the course, if course is tailored to your needs, could be, you know, on your job, do this with your peer, or prepare this, which you would anyway do, you know, prepare an action plan. That's part of your job anyway. Prepare an action plan and get feedback from your manager. So if you take learning like that, then you're actually educating manager to provide feedback. You're enhancing communication between the employee and the manager, and communication gets better, and you're creating a feedback loop through which, you know, those people can continue working like that and improving their performances. So it's high level stuff. It's there is no like if you really want to do it, but then if you have some specific, there are many ways of this. So if you have something very specific, give me the specific example and I will provide you my opinion on the specific example. Otherwise, we can stay here until evening, and it's a lovely day, at least in Belgrade.
I think I already asked too much things. I'm just sorry that our director, Nathan, isn't here to listen to these things when he's writing project proposals, but we will make sure for him to get the resources and the recording of this. Nadir asked the question, and when Irina answers this one, I think we can take a short break and then continue afterwards with some other parts of our webinar workshop. So Nadir is interested in what is the optimal number of participants for blended courses, for blended learning, in order to ensure learning outcomes.
So blend, well, I'm not quite sure because he said blended in meetings. So when we say blended, we mean combination of synchronous and asynchronous. So you do something live and then you do something on your own, but that's then not a meeting. Meeting is just part of that. So I guess that he meant blended courses or just online meetings. So I'm a bit confused here. In order to ensure learning outcomes.
I believe that the question was about blended courses because he used the word blended because it is, yeah, he
courses.
Just said that it's courses.
Okay. So for blended courses, you can have whatever number of people you want to have, but within a blended course, you have these live sessions, and then you can have a live sessions for first group, second group, third group. Those groups could be 20-ish. 20 is okay to handle. It's about 20 of us here. It's okay to handle. But if it was 10 of us, we could have had more interaction. So the more people, the less live interaction. But then if you know that you have less live interaction, when I say live, I mean, I turn on the camera and I speak, Milos turns on the camera, speak, Nadine turns on, stuff like that. Then you need to twist that into different format to still hear what people have to say. So that's why you're turning on the chat. That's why you take on some activities like we had in in those slides some polls or open-end questions or some other types of questions where people can express what they think, what their concerns, questions, whatever. So you see, when you're limited with either resources, time, or number of people, then you're changing the format into something else that can provide the best possible value in that situation. So there is no perfect solution. You're just pushing for the value in given circumstances. I hope that was satisfying for Nadir. Give me some feedback, Nadir.
I keep forgetting about the mic. Yeah, Nadir, if you have any additional questions and feedback for Irina, please type it in the chat box. But yes, improvisation and adapting is pretty necessary in
Thank you.
This case. Luca?
No, I just wanted to say there was an earlier question from Nadir when he switched on live about recommendations for tools. I just wanted to say after the break, we will get more into that and we'll have some recommendations for tools other than Zoom. A little teaser, you've already seen us use one of them. It's AHA Slides, but we'll get into more of that later. So just stay with us and this will be covered.
Cool. Should we make then a 5 or 10 minute break? What do you think, guys? 10 minutes, I think that we were talking a lot. So maybe 10-minute break, and then at 11:47, we will be back here. You don't have to leave the Zoom. We will play some music for you. And we'll see you in 10 minutes. Then Milica and I will talk with you about tools for interaction, building community, and what other concepts can we use to achieve these things. Thanks a lot, guys. And Irina, this was excellent. Thank you very much for
Thank you for participation. You were lovely participants, everybody.
Cool.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.
See you in 9 minutes.
To resume, resume the recording. So most of the people are still with us, thankfully. So I think we can resume. I think Milos, will you continue with this part of the presentation, or?
Yep. Just let me find the slide where I should start, and I will share it in a second. And here it is. So when we started the whole workshop, I had to take a couple of moments or minutes to talk about how we got here and why we want to frame this not just as an organization of one single event, one webinar, workshop, course, whatever, but if there is one thing we want you guys to get from this whole workshop, is that you should perceive your event just as one part of your major task, building a community around that topic or your cause. So the question here is, what should we do before the event, during the event, and after the event in order for us to increase interaction and to build and grow community around the topic we want to promote. So basically there are two things in each of these phases, well actually much more things, but two major things. Before the event, you should choose the right format, and that's something that Irina already covered when she spoke about differences between webinars, workshops, courses, blended courses, and other formats. And once you do that, you really need to promote that event the right way in order for you to get to the right audience and to build your community. Now, during the event, of course, you chose the right format, you developed the whole concept for your event, you need to live up to the expectations you set. And then one of the questions and one of the major concerns that all of us had was how actually we can increase interactivity at our events. And we will share some tools and tips and tricks with you a bit later. And that's not where things are done. When you finish the event, that's just the start of the journey. That's not the whole journey. And really, we would love for you to think strategically about post-event phase and what happens next, and how can you continuously deliver value to your community, to your participants, your attendees, whatever you want to call them. And you should stay consistent, and that is something that will actually build that community. That's the most important thing for building a community around your topic. So, but first I have a question for you guys, and I will ask you all to get back to AHA slides. So if you forgot or closed the window, the address is, URL is ahaslides.com/BOE21. Luca can share the link in the chat box as well. So I will ask you guys to get back to AHA slides and to answer this question. When you promote your event, what do you usually do? You create a specific page on your website with a sign-up form, or you just send a press release with information and people then get that information, or you send emails to partners with attached agenda and invitation. Let's take a couple of more moments to see what people usually do. People usually send emails to partners with an attached agenda and invitation. Some of you guys send a press release, and nobody here creates a specific page on your website with a sign-up form. Okay. These are interesting numbers. We have 10 responses. One person is sending a press release and others are sending emails. You can, by the way, choose multiple answers as well. It doesn't have to be just one of these things. Okay, I was expecting something like this, and here's what's wrong with that and why we need to change our methodology when we talk about promoting our online events. Usually, all of us receive these emails where you have then in your email body text of that invitation. You have the same text attached as a Word or PDF file. Some organizations even give their best and design those invitations in PDF and then again send them via email. And you have the agenda in the attachment as well. And they usually go something like, dear sir or madam, Catalyst Balkans Regional Foundation for Development of Philanthropic Systems in the Western Balkans is organizing a virtual workshop on the topic of better online events. We cordially invite you. I need to drink some water, definitely. So we cordially invite you to attend our webinar, whose agenda you can find in the attachment. Please register by sending an email to milica.antic@catalystbalkans.org. Kind regards. Then you will usually have a director's name there or program manager. So this is a pretty complicated process, especially nowadays when people receive tons of emails, and generally when I receive these kinds of invitations, maybe I will open the agenda, but chances I will not. You're making this process much more difficult for yourselves because you have to have one person who is always checking their email, If people registered for the event and then that person puts data of those people in an Excel spreadsheet or something like that, and it's really not efficient process. You can do these things much better, even if you're organizing closed events for your partners, or you're just organizing a meeting or whatever. There are more simple ways to do these things. And effective event promotion, especially if these are not closed events, but you want to target some group of people out there and you want them to register for your event, there are three things you need to do or to have: a good landing page. And now I know that you're wondering what the hell is a landing page now. We'll talk about it in a minute. You need a simple sign-up form, form that people can easily submit and register for your event instead of sending those emails, especially if you're targeting younger population now, because younger population doesn't like communication that much, and they prefer automated things like sign-up forms. And you need to do your targeting and retargeting done right. So let's go through all three of these one step at a time. Landing page is a web page on your website that has one goal: to convert people who visit that page into doing something. That is a page that invites them to an action, calls them to an action, and we use these pages for any kind of campaign we have. So landing page is a marketing term, basically. And on your website, you will have pages with your articles, blog posts, educational, informative materials. But these are specific pages where people can take action, where they can, for example, of course, register for your event, or they can sign a petition, or they can donate. Any page where someone can take some kind of an action, click one button and support you, register for your event, or do whatever. We call these landing pages because there is basically a psychology and some tips and tricks for you guys how to write these pages in order for you to get more conversion, meaning more people registering for your event. So that is one web page on your website with one goal, one button, and no distractions. So this page is only about that event, and there are no, or that course, that workshop, and no other distractions. You will not invite people through that same page to, I don't know, support your petition on some different topic, or to donate for your third project, or to do anything else except for registering for this one event. And let's see how that page should look like. Of course, the first thing you need to have is a headline for that. And in our sector, luckily, people don't get too creative with headlines for their events. In some other areas, people like to invent some sort of slogans or rhymes. But then again, our headlines tend to be too technical and too specific. So you should really find the right balance between being specific enough, but not going into too technical details, because they will not attract people, and not people will not simply register for your event. And one of the best things you can communicate there is your unique selling proposition, or the reason why should people apply for your event, for your webinar, for your course. What makes that course or that webinar different than any other that is available? What makes it so special than others? Basically, you should answer to these three questions that are right there on the screen, and you will be able to sense what could be your headline for your event. So you should first ask yourself, what is the ultimate benefit I want your attendees to gain? what is the one major thing they will get from your event. How will your event make your attendees' life better? What will they gain from it, and how will that improve their lives? And why is your event better than your competitions or your competitors or other organizations from the sector, from your field, from your industry? What makes it so unique and special? Maybe we shouldn't say here what makes it better, but what makes it so unique. That's, I think, a better word in our sector. So when defining a headline, for example, we are now organizing a series of virtual workshops, and their headline is how to become a digital nonprofit. So it's a kind of different solution, because we're not promoting just one workshop, but this is also not a course. It's more a series of workshops that can, of course, work together as well. And we were really talking about it a lot. Luca, Sophia, and other colleagues from our marketing team and myself, and we at the end decided to call this whole thing. Title of the event is Catalyst Digital Month, but the headline of that landing page is how to become a digital nonprofit. Milica, something got confused with the slides you entered, so we'll have to fix this later.
Okay.
But we will continue with the part. Just it was a random slide that was supposed to be at the end of our presentation. Anyhow, after headline, you need to define your benefits. So you see, I'm not talking about your agenda, your topics, or anything. You want to inspire people, to motivate them to apply, to register for your event. It's basically like you're selling a product. The same logic can be behind this as well. And you know, people actually don't buy products at all. They buy what the product will help them to do. And in marketing, this is a great theory, because when people start selling things or trying to persuade other people to take some action, they usually start talking about features. And features in this case for events is how this event is going to be organized, how many lectures are they going to be, what kind of catering are we going to have. And yes, I understand that sometimes in our sector, people do register for events just for catering and for the food, but with online events, unfortunately, that's different, and we need to provide them with benefits. What are they actually getting from us? So the questions you should answer when defining the first question you should answer when defining your benefits is how your event helps your participants. Actually, what will they gain from that? They are very personal. You need to understand, and that's the first step for you. Actually, you need to know who's your target audience, who are you talking to, and you need to define benefits from their perspective, what they as your participants are getting. This is not the project description, this is not the agenda, this is not the list of topics that we will cover. This is what will they gain from your event, and how will that improve their lives. You will remember that earlier we said that you can take one biggest benefit as a headline for your event. That's a possibility, but you should find more benefits than just one. And feel free to use bullet points. These are not long paragraphs where you will talk and explain things. These are simple bullet points. You will gain this, and that. And let's actually see one example. What do you think of these two is better? What would better convert on a landing page? If we say we've got 20 speakers lined up for our social services conference, or get social services insights from 20 global nonprofit leaders, what do you think will attract people more and will convert more people into registered participants? So again, I will ask you to get back to AHA slides and to vote for one of these options. What do you think attracts and converts people better? We've got 20 speakers lined up for our social services conference, or get social services insights from 20 global nonprofit leaders. We still don't have not one vote. Does that mean that you guys are not sure? What?
I think that doesn't work.
What doesn't work?
I cannot click it. So maybe others have the same problem.
Let me check it. Huh, this is stupid, yes.
Yeah, me too.
You may choose up to 0 options. This is really stupid. AHA Slides had an update recently, and we were just discussing when we were preparing for this, and some of the things are not really working properly anymore. I'm sorry that you can't answer to this question, but maybe you can actually answer in a chat box. So answer number 1, if you think that we've got 20 speakers lined up for our social services conference, we'll convert people into your participants better. Or number 2, if you think that get social services insights from 20 global nonprofit leaders. We already have a couple of answers. Awesome. Great. You did get the point then. This is exactly the difference between a feature of your event and the benefit of your event. Feature is we've got 20 speakers lined up for our social services conference, and that's just information. It's not really relevant. But when you say get social services insights from 20 global nonprofit leaders or regional leaders or whomever, that's much more relatable, and people will perceive that as a benefit. In marketing, when we talk about benefits versus features, we usually use the example of what was the name of Apple's MP3 player? Luka, Milica, please. My mind.
iPod, is that what you?
Exactly, thank you. So when they launched that product, they could say 1 or I don't know 10 gigabytes of space for your music. That was a feature, but instead they said play thousands of songs from one device. That is a benefit. You can play 1,000 songs, not that there is 1,000 gigabytes or however gigabytes did it have, but the point is to put it from your beneficiaries' perspective, your attendees' perspective, and what is it that they gain from that, how they can actually use that. That also goes to events, products, whatever you're marketing. Always communicate benefits and not features of your event or a project or a program. Another thing that you might want to have on your landing page are testimonials. If this is not the first course or a webinar you organized, you can ask your previous participants to share their experiences, and people generally don't believe organizations or companies, but people believe people. And when you have people saying on your website that they attended your program, that they were super satisfied, and that it made possible for them to, I don't know, change jobs, gain new skills or whatever, people will believe that, and they will rather sign up for your program if you have other people saying that they liked it. You can also ask your speakers and lecturers to share their testimonials and some quotes and ideas about your program, and you can also invite some external experts who will say what kind of change does your event actually bring. This is if you're organizing some advanced courses or some bigger conference, but generally you can always have at least former attendees under testimonial sections on your website and your landing page. And finally, this is the moment when you can introduce your agenda. The boring part. This starts at that time, this starts at that time, and blah, blah, blah. You need to have that. It is important for people to know that information, but that's not information that will convert them. That's not information that will make them click the register button. You should also, of course, with the agenda, have the list of the speakers that will be there. That can be one of the benefits for the speakers. If you really have some major experts, you can make a benefit out of that. But agenda and all these technical details should go a bit later on your landing page. The first thing and the most important thing, again, state your benefits, and then you can go later into technical details.
Again, our slides are mixed.
I have no idea what the hell happened, but yeah, okay. One final thing that you should have on your landing page for your event is a call to action button. So that's the button where you say register now or sign up today or whatever similar to that, because you need to have in mind your reader, the person who will be on that landing page. One reader, one landing page, you have one goal for that person. You want them to click that button. That button can appear multiple times on the screen. It can, for example, you can have the headline and benefits, and you can have your call to action button right after benefits, and then you can have testimonials and agenda, and once again your call to action button. But make sure that you do have one clear call to action. Do not mix other campaigns, other programs you have, just this one on that one landing page. And that call to action button will take your visitors to a sign up form that should be simple and easy for them to fill in, so they would be able to sign up with just a couple of clicks and not sending emails or whatever. But more on that, I think Milica can share a tool and perspective why having a form and gathering data that way can be beneficial for you if you can find your way with the slides, Milica.
Yeah, maybe I will need some moments to rearrange it, but okay.
We can take a moment. I wanted to just for a second while Milica rearranges the slides in the right order. I wanted to say another, as Miller spoke about this from a marketing perspective, I just wanted to say from my own experience as taking care of more of a logistical part of organizing this, how much having a landing page actually contributes, actually simplifies things for your own organization, in the sense that, first of all, it's dynamic and you can make updates to something. If you send, for example, an agenda by email, simply, this is going to be what people are looking at, and this is going to be the information they have. If you make some changes, for example, a change in dates, a speaker needs to be replaced with another speaker, they won't have that information. You'll have to send another series of emails to everybody, and this way you have it all in one place, and simply people can refer to it whenever they want an update. They can have the most sort of up-to-date information. And also, of course, speaking of a sign-up form, it makes work a lot easier. It gives you a certain flow to the user of the page, so the person responsible for registering these attendees can have a much easier time. But Milica will proceed to show you some of those things just now.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to turn on my camera. Just a second. I need to make one note. I'm having a dog, so if in any moment you hear him bark, I will turn off my mic and he will stop quickly, and Luca will jump in to do whatever I was doing. So just a little note for you. Here I would like to ask you a little quiz to have a little transition from Milos to my part. What platform do you use? You can consider it more widely. You don't have to talk just for like organization. You can use it privately for communicating with your friends or family, especially in time of coronavirus. What was the thing you were using? Okay. Oh, no Slack users here. Okay, no one uses Messenger, WhatsApp, Google Meets. Okay, but Zoom has the whole advantage. I just wanted to say that all my slides are really mixed up now, and I really don't know what happened, but I just want to add on what Milos said about creating a simple form. When we started to organizing these online events, my first reaction and my first thing, what we're supposed to do is to create a web form. And bearing in mind that I come from NGO sector, I wanted to have the more information about you, about the organization that are applying, and especially because I'm working in a team that is in charge with implementing CVCRM, it was really important to me to gather the most information I can get. And that's how Milos and I had a lot of conversation and a lot of meetings in discussion how our web form should look. So you can see on our website, it was a really simple web form, but that simple web form took about 2 weeks to get prepared with all tweaks and changes and a lot of mistakes and errors. And we were going back and forth with all these changes. And in the end, we got that simple, basic web form. And you can see that marketing in this matter prevail, because I already told you, I wanted to have the most information of you. I wanted to know what your field of work is, because it is really relevant. So I can know how to target your audience better. But in the end, we decided to go with that simple form and have those basic questions on our website. And in the end, we decided to retarget our groups when we find the basic answers to see who is coming. And then when we gather those kind of informations, then we decided to retarget our groups. So what is important to do? I will just move in this way to that slide what I'm talking about. It's really hard when you work with 3 lecturers on one presentation, which is online and depends on collaborations. And it was a really new thing for us. Sorry for this, really. Okay. This is the slide I was referring to. So what we did, we organized this web form. We created it. We make it simple and smart. We want to have only basic information on you, so we can send you an email, like to send you invitation and send you reminders. But on this basic information, we can see if you want to receive our newsletter and what kind of information you're interested in. If you applied for our previous workshops on digital security, you will get another invitation if you, of course, said that you are interested to get another information on this topic, we can see how many people we had on previous workshops, and we can send a new email and said like, hey, you were at our previous workshops, please, we have another one. If you like it, please share it and appoint other people who can be interested in this kind of events. Or if you didn't like it, even better, please tell us what we can do better, what we can do in better manner, what our lecture, if they were bad, how we can do more and how we can improve. And that is really was important for us. So that's how we created a very that is how we can create very targeted emails for our topics. Also, when you enter a phone number, and the marketing team can explain more of that, we can use a Facebook ads to address the things what can be interesting to you. If you applied for one kind of events, we can target you and send information about other events that we are organizing in the same on the same topics. Okay, this is again Miloš slides. So on the things that we decided to do is to keep it simple, keep it smart, and learn from the data. And Miloš already explained how in the previous lot of these workshops, we decided to have some workshops on the Saturdays afternoon, and we saw that it was a really bad idea. And we did it on basis of what was your feedback. When we organize a meeting, it's always a feedback like, please, we have a work, we cannot have it on the work time between 9 to 5. Please organize it on Saturdays. So we did, and we got a feedback again that is not a good answer. So we try to switch a little to move these workshops to Thursdays, to Fridays, whatever, and to see what we can learn and how we can use these informations. And we can measure how people are interested or not in different time of the event happening. And we can even visualize those kind of data. And it's pretty much important if you have events that need a specific target group, and you can mobilize your resources in according to that. So that is mine thing about web forms. So Miloš will just, if you can manage with these slides.
I will try something. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's get just back one step. So the goal here is actually to build a community around your cause, and maybe I should in the first place share my screen instead of Mirita's. That can be a good step. Okay, cool. So the goal here is to build a community of your attendees around your specific topic or a cause. Also, the goal here is to scale that community. We were talking about the number of participants. There was one very good question, and Irina said that for these things, 20 participants, 10 to 20 participants is an optimal number. But when I'm talking about the community, I'm talking about including all of your previous participants, new participants, and really creating a community around your topic. And then you will have a series of workshops, courses, whatever. But having just 20 participants of one workshop in a closed community, that will not create enough engagement and enough interaction. Your goal is to scale that community, to have more people there. And in order for you to manage that, you should use something that is called Community Relationship Manager or Community Relationship Management Software. Sure, it's shorter for that, it's CRM software. And that is basically a concept that nonprofit sector took from the business sector. You know, when you get a bill from your mobile operator, and then again they charge you more than they should have, and you call them, start fighting with their call operator, and that person knows everything about every interaction you had with their company, not with that one person, but any of their cooperative support operators. They have your contract, they have all of your documents, they know that, and they have access to that because they're using their own version of CRM. So the logic here is that we in the nonprofit sector can also use some sort of a CRM, of course, modified and customized to our needs, not the business needs, but the needs of nonprofit sector, in order for us to build communities and to make it easier for us to manage those communities and to make decisions based on data, so we would really know where we are headed. For example, for you, this was just a simple form. You saw a couple of fields where you need to enter your first and last name, your organization, and your email. And you just select the webinars you want to attend, and that's it. But for us, it's the way we gather data. And at the end of this process, we will have a meeting where Milica will cross-reference all of those registrations, and she will be able to say, okay, this person went to all of our webinars for the past month. That is someone who is definitely very interested. Maybe we should reach out to that person to see if we can help them in any other manner, give them some of the tools or additional advice, or maybe we will have, I don't know, job openings in the coming period. And if someone is that interested in these topics, well, maybe we should talk with that person on joining our team. So for us, that's a way to collect data, to analyze data, and to plan our next steps better. We will use this, of course, to see what was the period when we had the most attendees on our events, so we would know when to plan the next events, which days are good for that, which are not, and similar things like that. But it's also important to use that data for promoting our event to next participants, because there are ways we can import that data into Facebook and then get to participants who are likely to register for our events. But before we talk about that, I have a question for all of you guys, and hopefully you can answer now. And my question is, do you use in your organizations online ads? You can choose multiple answers. Milica, Luca, please jump in if something's not working with Yaha slides, but hopefully everything is okay now. So please just select if you're not using ads at all, or what kind of online ads are you using. Oh, good, it's working, awesome. Some people are using Facebook ads. Most of the people aren't using any ads at all. Okay. We have 15 people online on AHA slides. Let's see how others will respond.
Yes, but people can, it's set as a single choice. So
okay.
Yes, so if you use multiple, you can feel free to write in the chat, or any other options for advertising that you use. It's totally fine.
Okay, it's 50-50 now, and that's a solid answer. I was hoping that more people and organizations are using online ads. If you're not, you should start doing that. You can get some of those ads for free, and for others, you will, of course, have to pay, but you can include that in your budget, and donors generally don't make a problem out of that. If you need any support, we already had a couple of workshops on basic and advanced Facebook ads, but we can actually organize something again on that topic if you guys are interested. what is important and what I want you first to know, although this is maybe a bit too technical, but it's important at a strategic level for you guys to understand. For example, the difference between Google ads and Facebook ads. And by the way, there are no Instagram and YouTube ads. Well, there are, but they are again created through Facebook and Google. Instagram ads are created through Facebook and YouTube ads are created through Google. But the point is that there is a huge difference between Facebook advertising and Google advertising, as the logic behind the one and the other is completely different. And I would like for you guys to understand that logic so you would know which one to use in your work. By the way, you can get Google ads for free. You can get from Google $10,000 worth of ads on a monthly level. Unfortunately, Facebook ads for free are available only in the United States. Here in Western Balkans, we have to pay for them. But the difference between Facebook advertising and Google advertising is in something we call search intent. If people that we are targeting are searching for something that we are offering, are searching for those kinds of events, or they're not searching for them. Google marketing is something we call intent marketing, while Facebook is interruption marketing. You know those people on the street when you get out that just ambush you and start offering you, I know, discounts at this place or whatever, and you're trying to run away from them? Well, that's Facebook. You go there to look for photos from beaches, photos of your friends' pets, of your friends' children or whatever, your cousins. You don't go to Facebook to watch for ads and to find offers or something like that. But then again, something just comes up and you see an ad, you see a sponsored post that is inviting you for an event or something like that. And that is important to use, of course, but there are events that people are actually searching for. There are topics that people are Googling, and when people are Googling something, well, it's much better to offer that on Google than to spend your funds and resources on Facebook. You can use both, of course. You don't have to exclude any of these, but you really should know where is the best option that you should go and where you should invest, because people are, for example, searching for how to write a project proposal and get EU funds. And if you have courses or webinars on those topics, it will be definitely beneficial for you to use Google Ads and to promote your landing page where you have your complete offer, benefits and everything, to promote that as the first result on Google when someone searches for how to get EU funds or how to write project proposals or how to get a BTD grant, or you can even be a bit more creative and if people are searching for how to get funding for a nonprofit or how to write proposals, you can offer them, because the fact here is they're not really interested in learning how to write proposal. They are interested in learning how to get the money, and you can then offer them, for example, courses on crowdfunding, other fundraising possibilities, because project proposal writing is just one option and there's a huge field of other options for that. So bear in mind who's your target audience. As we said previously, that's the number one thing, both in marketing and education. Who's your avatar, your Facebook, your target group, and then you adapt to them and you go where they are, either Google or Facebook or any other social network. So search intent is something that you should bear in mind when targeting your audience and trying to reach your potential participants. And when we talk about Facebook ads, there are 3 ways you can create Facebook ads. The simplest is called detailed targeting. That's when you, for the people who used Facebook ads, but this is also useful for people who didn't use Facebook ads to know. Detailed targeting is when you log on to Facebook Ads Manager, and then you select that you want to target people on Facebook based on their interests, behaviors, and demographics. And then you can say, I want to target people that are between 30 and 55 years old, that work in this industry, that used online payments recently, or whatever, because you are promoting something to that target group. But you know, people on Facebook tend to lie or not to fill in all of their details. And that kind of targeting isn't really the most efficient one. But there is something we can do with that to fix that and to improve Facebook targeting. If you're using a CRM and you have a database of people who attended your previous webinars on the specific topic you are now promoting, you can actually, for example, if you're using CV CRM, which Milica is implementing, you can export all of that data into an Excel spreadsheet, and then you can import that Excel spreadsheet into Facebook. And you can say to Facebook, find me these 100 participants or 200 participants or however participants from my previous webinars, and find them on Facebook. Facebook will be able to find them based on 3 information: their first name, their last name, and their email address. You can include mobile number there as well, but I know that a lot of people don't share their mobile numbers with social media companies. I don't do that. So email should be more than enough. And then Facebook can find those people, and then you can say to Facebook, that's a custom audience. You created a custom audience, and you can now target those same participants. You can even say to Facebook, if you have, if these were, for example, participants for a basic course in a certain topic, and you want to target advanced course to them, you can do it directly that way. Or if you're having a similar course, you can say to Facebook, okay, you found these 200 people, now find 20 more thousand people from this area that have the same characteristics, that look alike this audience, and I want to present them new webinars, new courses where they can apply. And this will be much, much better. You will have better conversions. People will click more on your landing page if you do it that way. So instead of using detailed targeting, I always suggest that you should use a custom audience and then build a lookalike audience based on that custom audience. I don't want to bother you with demonstration how that's done through Facebook, but we will definitely organize these workshops again on that topic. So we will let you know through our newsletter that we are sending through that same CRM when we do that. And Milica, I think that I've finished everything I wanted to say about promoting your event. The next thing is choosing the right platform for your online events, and then we will move on to interaction.
Okay, just let me take over.
I just wanted to say real quick that since we had some questions, that is actually a bit of discussion in the chat, that we will have another Q&A session after we're done with this section. So we will discuss all of this in more detail. But I think it would be relevant to go through this part first, so we can so we can possibly provide some answers through the presentation itself.
Yeah, okay, but I really want to answer to Dragana on this.
Okay.
Yeah, because I cannot say what is the main reason. I just think that people, like I'm the people, applying for everything that they seem to like. And then in the end, when they realize they don't have a time and they cannot keep it up with all everyday tasks they have, then they decide not to participate. And those 20% that we are find out that it's always coming, it's something that is pretty much realistic. And as I work with other organizations and because I create events for them and web forms of the events, I can see that there is a really trend of decreasing number of participants if events are organized live. When Corona outbreak started to decreases, we thought that starting online events is going to be that people can't wait to get to the online events, but all attendance lists that I saw with our clients, I can confirm that there is not a lot of just to enter full screen. There is not a lot of interest to go to online to live events after all this. I understand that Corona definitely isn't over and the people still are cautious, but in the one moment we didn't have in Serbia, especially we did have a lot of the whole summer there wasn't a lot of infected people, so organizations started to organize on live events. But what we can see that there is a really trend of decreasing number of participants even in the live events.
If I can jump in with a couple of minutes, actually that percentage is 30%. The experiences we had for the past month are different and they're going off a bit for various reasons. But 30% is something that a month ago was generally where we were at. Of course, in the first 2 months of the pandemics, we were at 60% or even more. So 30% is now kind of optimum for us, but it also depends on the date and time you chose for your event and for the whole process, how you remind people after they've registered. We had mistakes, for example, because our process is on Mondays. All registered participants for future webinars for that week get a reminder what webinars are organized, so they can maybe apply for other webinars that are in that week as well. Then we remind people of the webinar 24 hours before the webinar, and we remind them another time 1 hour before the webinar. There were moments when we forgot to send them the 1 hour before the webinar, and you can see that Milica is laughing. The Luca is the only one that's not laughing this time. Luca knows why. But that was simply a mistake from our end. Yes, the pandemics, the situation with the numbers, infected people and everything influenced that, but my major goal for this webinar was for you guys to think about more. Yes, it's easier to organize maybe these kinds of events, but think about what Irina was saying earlier about asynchronous events that you pre-record, but then create the whole process and people can do it when it suits them by their own pace. That's something that we are actually now trying to build, and that's something for you guys to think about as well. The whole point, the thing with the Corona is not really stable, and maybe you should think about new models and formats and processes for this.
I saw some more questions, and maybe Milos can answer later about how much money we can spend on ads in projects. And yes, we will send the whole presentations and the material afterwards. And now I would like to present differences between Zoom and Teams. And we are only doing comparison of these two because we are using these two. And there is a lot of other resources. And if you have experience with any of them, you can share it with us. I will just say that we don't have partnership with none of these software companies, and we are not paid to do this. We are sharing just our experience and what is from our perspective work best for us. So if you have anything to share about your organization and what is the best solution for your organizations, feel free to jump in. Well, this is the Zoom this is the thing that has supposed to happen, but later. And the difference between Zoom and Teams, it's really small in terms of what is used for. And the best thing to decide is what do you need as organization. We started to using when COVID happened, we started with Whereby for online conferences, and it really ended up as a bad solution for our organization. So we had a trip that where we made mistakes and learned from them, and that's how we got to Zoom. And before that, we even used a Jitsi Meet, which was a really good solution if you have something that is really that you want to share only with the special people. So it's a really secure platform. So if you have a name of the link or the link, you can join. So if you have to share something, you can really quick share information with other people. But it wasn't a very stable platform, so we dropped even that. And then we used the Slack for internal collaboration, and I really enjoyed Slack. But as an organization, we did transaction from Slack to Teams, and we started using all of the Microsoft 365 features, so most of them. So we switched to Teams, and as an organization for internal communication, we use Teams, and for external, such as this meeting, we are using Zoom. So they both have a lot of benefits and they have some challenges, but the main difference is probably the price. And I want to discuss pricing because there is a lot of options for you as a nonprofit to have discounts and use some benefits with TechSoup Balkans. You can check their website and you can visit and write to them how to get those discounts if you find out what suits your organization the best. But also both of them has their free option. Zoom has the free option, and the limitation is that the meeting lasts for 40 minutes. And Teams had it for, I think, 60, but in this summer, they boost the lasting of that meeting on 24 hours. So I'm not sure how much it's going to last, but they're probably trying to beat the Zoom. And after the Corona outbreak, you saw those memes that ended up in Miller's part of presentation. I wanted to show how Zoom really used was really used as a meme, and how it gets popular by the time of COVID outbreak. So you saw those Scooby-Doo reveal of villain, how you say, oh, you're really, this Corona outbreak is really your fault, and Zoom is under the mask. So there is a lot of marketing opportunity for Zoom in this whole thing, where Zoom really used the best this situation for their profit. When we talk about features, I have to say that there is a lot of features in the both platforms. They both have those kind of blurred backgrounds, breakout rooms, group messaging, view mode, which differs from what you need to see. You can record record meetings, and the recordings can be saved on cloud or on your computer. It depends on what package of both services you purchase. And in this, we talk about that in our breakout sessions. Accessibility tools are improved in both of the platforms. Even on Teams has a little translation which can translate English in the writing while you talk. So it's a really big improvement. So there is a lot of benefits, and where the Teams probably beats Zoom is file integration, or you can use the Teams together with your OneDrive, and it's all connected. On the other hand, Zoom has a really big possibility to integrate the platform with another third-party applications, and a really huge variety of them. So Slack is one of these third-party applications that you can use together with Zoom. Third main point, which I would differ Zoom versus Teams, is definitely security. Zoom lost our trust in the period when they promised they have end-to-end encryption, but they didn't have it. They just declared they do. So they publicly apologized, and they promised to work on their security. And now they have a better security than Teams does. But still, all big donors and state institutions today in Serbia, I can say only for that example, still use Teams, because the Zoom didn't have those certificates that was needed to fill out the security threats. And both platforms are really work hard on Zoom bombing. It's a term that that explains someone who is just jumping into your meetings. So they both developed waiting rooms or some registration methods. So you have to have it before someone just have a link and get into your meeting. And now I have, this is what I talked about. This is the meme. Okay, I was talking about these bullet points. This is the differences: plans and pricing, features, security, and support. They both have really great support. So on that end, it's really hard to decide which is better fits your needs, because they all have really really huge documentation, a huge library of information on their website, chat support, all the webinars of how to use any of their services. So it's on that point, it's really, they're both satisfactory. And this is the thing I said I want to be talking about. There is a lot of benefits of pre-plan and, of course, enterprise plan when you can have a lot of participants. And as a Catalyst, we are using 2 accounts and with different options, because every new feature in Zoom is additional cost. So we are being smart with that, with using Zoom. And Office or Teams is already integrated with our Office. So for everyday meetings, we are using Teams, and it's really show as a really good tool, and every day it gets better. And I was really sad when we left Slack, but in the end of the day, I really can see how much benefits I can do from Teams meeting. I can schedule meetings, I can upload documents, and everything is at one place, and I can access it from any place, where am I. So it's a really good solution. So I would ask you to choose and give us the verdict about what is better, Zoom or Teams, or you would choose something else. So if we have still participants left on this little webinar, you can answer and choose and give us the verdict. You can be our jury today.
While people are voting, just another information for you guys, some of you might already know, but when we talk about security and data privacy issues and Zoom, you do know that people that work in the EU institutions and the United States institutions, and generally most of the embassies and public institutions must not use Zoom because of these reasons. And when you're organizing events, and if it's necessary to have your donor, for example, if your program is EU funded or USAID funded, you won't be able to use Zoom.
Yeah, it's really useful to know that. Okay, both. Yeah, that would be probably the most useful thing, but keep in mind that you should think through needs of your organization. And I will just briefly walk you through the difference between Zoom meeting and Zoom webinar. Usually when we organize this kind of events, we use webinars because it's much easier to control participants, and it's really gives you a lot of benefits as a lecturer. And now if we had someone with dog barking behind, we don't have those possibilities as we could if we had webinar options as a lecturer or co-hosts. So meetings are meant for people you know. For example, when we have internal meeting, it's better to have a meeting because everyone's camera is on and everyone can participate, everyone can turn on their microphone when they want. But with a Zoom webinar, it's all different because it's expected to, as a lecturer, be on the spotlight and the participants can see you and they can just ask questions in Q&A part. I had somewhere the comparison, but we will follow up with the correct presentation and send it to you. But webinar is meant for much more people who are not familiar with each other. Their cameras are turned off, and with a meeting is a whole different idea behind it. And what you should know also that webinar is not the free option for Zoom. So it depends on what it's Zoom think that if you want to have webinars, you are the lecturer, so it's a business behind it, so it's supposed to be not free. And that would be basically all from my part, and I would just switch. I can stop sharing, and Milos, you can take off.
I wanted to just quickly add on to what Milica said. For example, you might be wondering why we chose this meeting format today as opposed to the webinar format. And that is because we have the section with the breakout rooms, which is a function of the Zoom meetings. And this is because we wanted to have this part with people getting introduced to each other. Like Milica said, it's for people who know each other, or at least who will have interaction amongst each other. So the webinar format is better for larger audiences, but it will have less options to interact with each other, the attendants themselves. Whereas the meeting gives us these options, and we wanted to have this today to have a little discussion split up into breakout rooms, and I think it worked out quite well in providing additional interactivity. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. I wanted to say that, but it totally slipped my mind. So thank you very much.
No problem.
Cool, thanks. And this is a great introduction into final part, and that's how do we actually increase interactivity during the event, and using these breakout rooms actually proved to be a very, very efficient way to do that. And the other way to do it is, as you could see, although not always very successful because of their new updates and the platform going crazy apparently, but there are options and software solutions that allow you to create these interactive experiences for attendees. We are using AHA Slides, but Slido is probably the most famous one from that field. There's also Mentimeter. I will not compare them now. You really should just research all three possibilities. There are other options as well, and the differences between them are not that big, and you should just see the pricing plans and the features and their business models, and to see what's actually what will work for you guys. But the point is here that when you have a presentation, when you have a webinar or anything, it must not be your constant talk and your slides and no interactivity between them. You should always have a rule that at least after every 20 minutes, you have some sort of interactivity. That can be surveys or quizzes done through AHA Slides, Slido, Mentimeter, whatever, breakout sessions, or anything else you can think of. But you should, when you have these kinds of events, live events, you should always have some interactivity moment at least after every 20 minutes, if not even more often. Of course, for courses that are pre-recorded, you have the whole process developed, the whole script, and with all quizzes and assignments, there is an interactivity there. But for live events like workshops and webinars, at least 20 minutes, if not even more often. There is really no need for me to show you their interface. It's simple to use. You can just import your presentation with any of these tools, and then you can add specific slides where you choose if you want to have a multiple option question, a quiz, if you want people to choose between pictures or textual answers. It's all of them are very easy to use, unless when they get an update and they go crazy, like AHA Slides is going crazy right now. So every time when you have a live event, just think about these things. And to be honest, I think that today's breakout session was very, very good, and maybe it's good to have more of these kinds of interactivities than surveys, quizzes, and things like that. But even bigger question is, how do we keep interactivity after the event? And that's the moment when we can see that what we planned to do to build community, if that's really working or not. Are we really becoming a community, or people just came, watched for an hour our webinar, and then moved on, completely forgetting about us, not being interested in that topic anymore or similar? The first thing you should do, and you can, if you use a CRM software, you can automate that process basically, but you should schedule email checkups. So when we finish this webinar, you will get an email from us with all of the resources, recording and everything. But then again, in some time, you may get an email from us in 2 or 3 months, just from our end, to see if you organized any online events in the previous period, and did you use any of things that we mentioned here today, and to ask you if you are planning to organize some of them, if you need to consult with us, if you want to have a quick catch up to see if we can share any more details with you and help you with your event and its organization. So scheduling these regular checkups from your end as an instructor, lecturer, trainer, you will really show to your participants that you are thinking about them, that you are dedicated to them, and you will empower them to ask you questions, because in these situations, people maybe don't even have a question, but they will have once they start doing these things. And it's always good to give them a possibility just for a quick follow-up with you or a quick clarification and similar things. There are also things that are called discussion boards. That's something very similar to forums that were very popular in early 2000s. Google Classroom has their own discussion board, but you would need to actually be subscribed or to buy some of those platforms. That's really not necessary for, especially for smaller organizations and organizations that are similar to ours. There are two easy and free things that you can use. One, super easy, Facebook groups. You can simply create a group, not for, I see that people are doing this very often. They organize Facebook groups for each training they have, for each webinar they had. But instead of that, you really need to have one group for that specific topic where you will gather all people that were on all of your events, because when you have more members, they will drive interaction and engagement, and they will contribute, but you need to really be persistent with this one. When you start it, you will be very disappointed because people tend to be very inactive in the beginning, but you need to be persistent. You need to constantly put up a new content. You need to constantly ask them questions, get their feedback, and that will become a part of their habit, and they will start interacting there as well. So it's basically only a question of your persistency. And another free solution could be a Slack channel, because for nonprofits, you can get a Slack channel for free for up to 250 participants. That should be more than enough for most of our courses and webinars. I know that there are some communities that really love Slack and they use it very often, but it all depends again on your target group, on their persona. Are they more on Facebook? If they are there, Facebook group will do more than enough. You don't have to think about Slack or any more advanced solution. But if they're more IT and techie people, Slack is definitely the best thing and the best channel you can use for this. So the point here is to give them an opportunity after your event, because as Irina mentioned at one point, it's not about the event. You will not give them something very meaningful for that 1 or 2 or 3 hours long event. It's more about the journey, and it's a journey that we are taking all together as one community where we share information. It's not just instructor student, it's peer-to-peer connection as well, and peer-to-peer support as well. 3 major points for this part are that you need to be consistent, that you need to post frequently, and that this time quantity really leads to quality. If you constantly post resources, questions, and other stuff in that Facebook group or Slack channel, that will lead to quality, because more people will be engaged as time passes by. Give more content and more value than they expected and than you promised, and organize live Q&A sessions, because that's also another type of content. And just as we said earlier before, that you need to have email checkups. This can really be a good way once your community is big enough. This can be a good way for you to have direct interaction with them once again, and not just through chat and comments. And finally, building these things and these processes into the flow of your event or your course, that will seed the discussions, and the group, the community will continue growing on its own, will have more engagement, and people, your participants, will start supporting each other, will start answering to each other's questions, will start sharing, will start sharing their ideas and asking for feedback, and people will give them that feedback, and everybody will learn together, and that's the ultimate goal here. These things take time, they are slow, but if you have a topic and if you have a certain cause that you have an expertise with, building a community by using marketing tactics that we mentioned, and actually heavily relying on educational content, that's the real way to change and to improve our societies and our communities. That's it from my end, I believe. So this is the time, although we are here for a bit more than 3 hours, this is the time that you can ask any question and we can answer them right now, or maybe if you don't have any questions at this moment, you can send us an email and we will, of course, gladly answer them.
Miloš, Dan asked in the chat how much money is acceptable to donors to spend on ads. So can we maybe refer to that?
You know that there are only limitations on administrative side of the budget and HR side of the budget. Basically, you don't have any formal limitations. I would pose this question from a different angle. What is the least amount of money I need to get any success with Facebook ads? And I would really suggest to you that you at least have a couple of $100 per month for Facebook ads in order for you to get some results, in order for you to reach the audience and build your online presence, but also to convert some of your audience into your supporters, attendees, whatever. So if you can put in your budget a couple of hundreds of dollars per month, $500, for example, that would be awesome. But this is really, really individual thing. There is no one size fits all. We can, for example, if you wish, we can schedule a meeting and talk more about what fits your organization and what your organization should do.
Not to mention, it's not always about just pouring money into the ads themselves. Facebook in particularly allows you to really specifically reach the people you need, and makes you sort of think in that direction, like who are the people that I need to reach, and how do I get them to see what I want them to see, or to reach this page that I want them to reach, et cetera, sign up. So basically, that's possibly even more relevant than the budget side, of course. But as Miloš said, you can reach out to us and we can schedule some consultations for, like, it's an extensive subject. So I don't know if you have any more questions. I see most of the participants are still with us. Thank you for that, even though we went on a bit longer than expected.
It's Saturday, it's sunny outside. Yes. I hope technical issues with AHA slides and everything weren't too bothersome for you guys. I would really love to thank you all. It's important for us, and I mean, we were sincere and honest in the beginning. This is also all a learning experience for us. And actually, since we were talking about having educational content as a part of building a community, maybe if you guys are interested, we can think about creating a regional community of nonprofit people that are involved with e-learning and training. That could be an interesting thing to share all of our experiences. So maybe we can think about that and send an invitation to people, and let's see if this will work out. Maybe a Facebook group will be a solution.
Yes, I think that would be great. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of interaction here and a lot of interest, so that could potentially be a good idea. Just one more thing before we close for today. As we said, the feedback is of crucial importance in this sort of thing. So I will just send you in the chat real quick a link which contains, don't worry, it's a very brief form. It won't take you hours, it will just take you a minute. And I would like you to please fill out this form and evaluate today's workshop and what you think could be improved. What is it that you liked or found very useful? How do you think our trainers fared? So if you could please take a minute and just fill it out, that would mean a lot to us, because we really take these evaluations into consideration and sort of learn from them to improve sort of what worked, what didn't. Like I said before, you will also, on Monday, you will receive the recording, so the video of this workshop, as well as the presentation itself. And I think we might be done for today. Thank you, Lena. Greetings to you as well from the also sunny Belgrade, little chilly, but sunny. And thank you everybody else for attending and taking the time out of your weekend to hopefully learn something new with us here today. It's been a learning sort of experience for us as well. I think since we've answered,
this is a learning experience for AHA Slides as well.
Yes, certainly.
We will send them a feedback.
Sure. So I think with that, we can close for today. I want to thank Milos and Milica for their presentation and their effort. Of course, if you guys have any questions, you can email me or any of us essentially, but you will have my email. So for any further questions, if you want maybe one-on-one consultations regarding some of these subjects, that is also definitely an option. So just write to us and we'll get in touch. I think that's it for today.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the weekend. It's going to be beautiful. See ya.
Bye.